Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday, the 19th of March, 2025. You are watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. Big shout out to the chat, as always, our wonderful people in the chat. If you'd like to join the wonderful people in the chat, including Lee Corn, Pete Music, Diz Scott, Leapshin, Koala Meat, David Parker, Daylight Dave, David Joado, Andrew Ray, Katrina Tam, Scott, Saz, everyone else, if you'd like to join them, just hit the subscribe button, big juicy subscribe button, and subscribe to the channel, and wait for a minute, and you'll be able to leave your comments, but don't be a troll, or we will mute you and boot you. Okay, so today we're talking about Trump's catastrophic foreign policy. I mean, it's a catastrophic joke, but nobody is laughing. It's just breathtakingly stupid and naive. I mean, America at the moment is a danger to the world. Like a toddler, a particularly dim toddler, strutting around holding a nuclear weapon. It's being run by a man with the strategic foresight of a not particularly bright slug. This guy is the only thing that matches his stupidity is his arrogance and narcissism. It really is. Putin has just humiliated America, like absolutely humiliated America. Just run rings around the fat, stupid, incompetent, orange fascist dickhead who's currently occupying 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. He's offered nothing except a pause on attacks on energy infrastructure, while bombing hospitals and ramping up drone strikes just hours later. Trump thought that he had got a deal on infrastructure, so infrastructure wouldn't be bombed. No. Putin just said, I won't go after the energy infrastructure. I won't blow up any power stations for a bit, because it's less important to him now, because it's March, things are getting warmer. So it's not, he wanted to freeze people to death. He wanted little children and old people to freeze to death in the winter. That's why he was, civilians who'd done nothing wrong. He wanted them to die. And now it's getting a bit warmer, so it's not as pressing anymore, you see. So yeah, what was the concession that Putin made to Trump, the real concession? Because you can talk about they're going to have a prisoner swap. That was already in the works, I guarantee it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening today. Like, seriously, they don't have all this stuff set up and all the names down ready to go just in case. That was already going to happen. So what is Putin's big fuck off concession to the world, to Ukraine, to America, to NATO? A hockey match. I wish I was joking, because this goes beyond satire. A fucking hockey match. This is how shit and incompetent Donald Trump is. If you ever speak to a Trumper, just say hockey match. I'm sorry, can I have a hockey match? How about I get a hockey match out of this? Trying to do a deal with the Trump side. You say, could you throw a hockey match in there as well? US foreign policy is in the hands of a man who thinks that bluster and ego make up for this huge lack of competence that he has. And do you know what? They don't. They don't. Nothing makes up for his lack of competence. And I was thinking about this the other day. All of this is caused by grievance, right? So Trump's supervillain origin story can be dated back to the 1980s, obviously, when he was running around with Ray Kroc or whatever his name was. Roy Cohen. I think Roy Kroc founded McDonald's, didn't he? Back in the early 2010s, there was one of those press conference dinner things that they have in America with the White House. The White House Correspondents' Dinner, I think, and Donald Trump was there, and the then President Barack Obama made a couple of jokes at Trump's expense, and that was the moment that Trump decided that was it. He had to burn down the entire world to get his revenge on a couple of jokes. This is what happens when you make fun of thin-skinned narcissists. This is what they do. This is why narcissists should be put away. They should be put away. one way or another, we need to identify them and we need to do something with them. Either they go through some kind of conversion therapy, which should be legalized for them, or they are locked up for their own good and the good of society, I guess. The other malignant narcissist is Elon Musk. And his origin story in all this is also similar fueled by a similar grievance against a different Democratic president. This is when, a few years ago, I don't know if you remember this, but President Biden had a few of the American car makers over to the White House for a photo op, press op, whatever. And it was GM, Chrysler, and Ford. It wasn't Tesla. And that's the moment that Musk's fragile little ego broke. And now you have a white African who has gone in, gutted the US aid going to Africa, and he has condemned hundreds, and you need to understand this, okay? Let me say this really clearly. Elon Musk, a white African, has condemned hundreds of thousands of black Africans to death by his actions, by taking away US aid, which means that the antiretrovirals that many black Africans rely on to keep them alive because they are HIV positive, to stop that blossoming into full-blown AIDS, they need antiretrovirals. These medicines were pledged to them by USAID, and now those same medicines have been taken away by Elon Musk. The man is a mass murderer. So I don't want to see anyone shed a tear when they see that another Tesla dealership is on fire. Because fuck him. To be honest with you, I don't want firefighters putting their lives in danger. I don't think they would for a vehicle fire. But yeah, fuck them. I want Tesla stock to go through the floor. I want Musk in jail for the rest of his miserable existence. And I hope that's not too long. I hope that Trump goes, oh, well, he knows too much about me. I think I'll do what I did to my other Bezzy mate. Remember when my Bezzy mate was Jeffrey Epstein? Remember when we used to go to his island together and rape little girls? Yeah, I'll just do the same thing I did to that Bezzy mate to Elon Musk. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so let's have a look at this Trump-Putin call. It's a masterclass in getting played. Trump demanded a 30-day ceasefire. What he got was a meaningless pause on energy strikes, conveniently as the summer approaches and Ukraine doesn't need heating anymore. Meanwhile, Russia last night bombed 2 hospitals in Sumy. 2 hospitals. She's like, oh no, I won't go after the power stations anymore. I'll just go after the hospitals, direct. Because going after the power stations kind of, that puts an extra problem in the whole MO of the Russians, of the Russian cruel, sadistic dictatorship, totalitarian empire building, imperialist state. They just killing children indirectly by turning off the power to their incubators and the life support machines. They could have a backup generator, couldn't they, in the hospital? So do you know what would be better if we just bomb the hospital with the children in? We just bomb the hospital. And that's what Russia did last night. Bombed 2 hospitals in Sumy. And Putin agreed to nothing. He agreed to absolutely nothing. Not a ceasefire, not peace talks, not ending the war. Just a temporary, strategically irrelevant pause. Which he's not even going to keep that either, because he's a fucking lying shitbag. Because that's what Vladimir Putin is. You can't trust him. He's a snake. Can't trust the snake. It's like the scorpion and the frog, isn't it? Gives a lift over this here river, he says to the frog-faced bastard Donald Trump. Okay, then, there's Donald Trump. I trust you. Trump must be the most gullible man alive because he thinks this is a win. He's trying to sell this to his stupid gullible base as a win. And they'll probably lap it up, because they're just as stupid as he is. So Putin's demands are that Ukraine must disarm and stop receiving Western aid. So we're not even reading between the lines here. That's just, he just wants them to surrender. That's it. That's his demand. They surrender. And Trump, being Trump, just offered no pushback whatsoever to that. He fundamentally doesn't understand how diplomacy works. He couldn't make a deal to get out of a wet paper fucking bag, this guy. Like, he's the guy who bankrupted not one, but apparently two casinos. How do you bankrupt a casino? It's a machine for printing money. How do you lose when you own the casino? The rule of casinos is this: the house always wins. The house being the casino always wins. How the okay, do you bankrupt a casino? You have to be seriously stupid, seriously incompetent, and seriously loaded with daddy's money to get away with it. And you know, Trump is desperately trying to spin this as progress. And meanwhile, Russia immediately resumed bombing Ukraine's infrastructure, railway systems, and civilian areas, including as I mentioned, two hospitals in Sumy. Trump thinks that he's doing this great deal, but like, Putin's not negotiating. He's just dictating terms, and Trump is nodding along like a fucking trained seal. What a fucking idiot! And the people who voted for him, my God, there's nothing for them, is there? In this life, there is nothing for those 77 million fuckwits in this life. They are beyond stupid. They're beyond saving. That's it now. I'm off. I feel the same way I did about Brexit voters. I mean, they can just fuck off as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to shed a tear for any of them. Oh no, I've lost my job. Did you vote for Trump? Yes. Who made you lose your job? The woke Illuminati. No. Who made you lose your job? Oh, well, I suppose it was Trump, but I still love him. He only hits me because he loves me. Fucking idiots. So yeah, let's talk about this absolute dumpster fire. Trump is that is American foreign policy right now. Trump is actively making the world a more dangerous place for us all to live in. He's threatening to invade Canada and Greenland at every opportunity. This isn't satire. This is actual US policy under Trump. There was a movie written by Michael Moore in the 1990s called Canadian Bacon, starring John Candy. I think it was one of his last movies he was in. And the joke is that America invades Canada. And then you got South Park, the movie, Bigger, Longer Than Uncut. And also, let's blame Canada for everything. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny satire? Why would anyone have a problem with Canada? And now they're going after Mark Carney because Mark Carney's kid is non-binary. Yes. And he supports his kid because that's what you do as a parent. How dare you be a good, loving parent, Mark, you bastard. Mate, the horror show that J.K. Rowling has kicked off, her name's going to be, down in the ages, isn't it? As one of those enablers, a Trump enabler, one of the people who kickstarted all this bullshit. Her grave is going to fucking reek of ammonium. I'll tell you that now. I think she's the most disappointing person to have ever existed, because she made Harry Potter and then she just fucked her legacy so badly because she decided one day, she woke up and she looked at herself in the mirror and she thought, I hate what I see. I hate what I see in the mirror. So she got some plastic surgery, or as I like to call it, gender affirming care. Didn't do any good, just made her look a bit weirder. She hated what she saw in the mirror. So what did she do? She instead of internalizing that hatred, she turned it outwards. And where did she turn it to? The trans people. Why? Because they look more fabulous than her. It's as simple as that. Pure fucking narcissism. That's what drives J.K. Rowling. That's what drives her hatred of trans people, which, in a way, kickstarted all of this. Because the right never gave one flying solitary fuck through a rolling donut about trans people until the likes of J.K. Rowling were on Twitter going, I don't like trans people. And then suddenly they were like, oh, hang on. We've got someone who's a progressive here. We've got someone who's a liberal. And we've found some minority that they hate. And they think it's acceptable to hate them. Oh, let's go with this. And now they're bringing in genital inspections for children who want to play sports. External. And I can't stress this enough, please, trigger warning for a moment. And internal. I shit you not. They are trying to bring this in for kids in America to be inspected Be inspected, be abused. A law that says that any child that wants to play games with the other kids in school, games, must have their genitals inspected if one of the Karen-like teachers or parents says, I don't know if that little girl who's got short hair looks feminine enough. And this is the world that J.K. Rowling created. I hope she sees this. I would like to rub her face in her own vomit and now make it look in the mirror. How fucking dare she? How fucking dare she? Anyway, back to Trump, constantly slagging off Europe, calling NATO obsolete while seamlessly sucking up to Putin, giving Netanyahu a blank check to massacre civilians in Gaza because don't forget, Trump's administration approved the latest airstrikes. Yeah, he approved them. Yeah, that's fine. You know, kill civilians. The world is watching in horror. European leaders can't believe what they're seeing. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Germany's defense minister has openly said that Trump is being played. The US is becoming a laughing stock under this disgusting blob of a man, but a dangerous laughing stock because it's still armed to the fucking teeth. And also, they have a lot of their military infrastructure in our infrastructure as well. They have air bases in other countries, in our country, all around the world. They have tech that we need them to keep servicing and updating because their contract is with an American company. We can't just disengage as quickly as some of us would like. And Trump isn't interested in peace. He's interested in what he sees as winning, in bleeding Ukraine dry and making the West look weak at the behest of his master, master fucking Putin, Vladimir. Oh, Vladimir, I love you, Vladimir, he says. His delusions of being this deal maker. He never even wrote The Art of the Deal. The actual author of that book has distanced himself from Trump, and it's doubtful that he's ever actually even read the fucking thing because he can't fucking read. Trump doesn't understand that international diplomacy isn't real estate wheeling and dealing, and you got to understand as well that we've got a rogue superpower now, because this is something that Russia aspires to be, a rogue superpower, but it's not a superpower. Russia's GDP per capita is bullshit. Like, it's got no fucking money. It's going bankrupt. Its army is fucking shit. It's on its knees. It has to bring in soldiers from North Korea to do its fighting for it. It's half of its Black Sea fleet was blown up by a country that doesn't have a navy. Like, it's fucked. It is so fucked. It's not a superpower. China, arguably a superpower. EU, arguably a superpower. Russia, backwater, backstreet, fucking shithole. Miserable, cold shithole that can fuck off and stop invading our continent. Because don't forget, Europe it's not a geographical certainty. Europe is an idea. That's what Europe is. And he's invading our idea from the east with his barbaric hordes that he's shunted over from North Korea. Rape gangs going into Europe from Asia to destroy as many lives as possible. Under Trump, the US has become this rogue superpower. It's enabling war crimes in Gaza. It's threatening allies while sucking up to dictators. It's completely failing to hold Russia accountable for its crimes, its many, many crimes, making the world more chaotic, more violent, and more unstable. This isn't just incompetence. This is malicious negligence. The world can't afford another 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years of this lunacy. The US needs leadership. Instead, it has a wannabe mob boss who thinks appeasement is strength, and this will not end well. We need some opposition. The Democrats think they're playing some fucking long game. Do you remember that? Do you remember back when we were fighting against Brexit? Were you there? Were you there with us? Were you there when I was organising marches and getting up on stage and making a big fucking fuss about how shit Brexit's going to be in a an affable Scouse accent instead of just some posh person telling you what a disaster it was going to be? I don't know how much those posh people got through to people, but I feel like some of us got through to a few people, maybe, Perhaps. I don't know. But do you remember how when we complained about the fact that we were not getting any support from the leadership of Her Majesty's opposition, we were told that the leader of Her Majesty's opposition was playing a long game? No, Graham, you just don't understand. She's playing a long game. No, he's playing a long game. Sorry. Okay, explain the long game to me. Well, if you have to explain the long game, you'll never understand the long game. Only the people who have come into this realm of enlightenment can truly understand. It's like fucking Scientology. Only people who really understand the psychology of this former leader of Labour, they can understand what the long game is. The guy, he looks like a dickhead. He sounds like a dickhead. He says things like a dickhead. But you know what? He's a fucking genius. He's playing a long game. He's playing a long game. While we're organising marches to fight against the Tories' flagship policy that we know is going to make poor people even fucking poorer. We know is going to destroy the British economy. It's going to take £100 billion out of the British economy every fucking year, year after year, until the day we die. That translates to 40 billion in taxes that is no longer there. 40 billion a year extra we could have in our economy, so we wouldn't have to be dialing back on support for the most poorest people in the world, pulling back on support for people in this country who can't work, who are disabled, are out of work, are reaching a low point in their life, have mental health problems. Instead of giving them the support that they deserve, the then leader of Labour was like, nah, fuck them. You know what? I was born fairly rich, went to a posh private prep school, darling. Ha ha ha! Surrounded myself with posh private preppy people. Literally everyone around that guy went to private school. Like, everyone around that guy went to private school. I can't emphasize this enough. All his advisors, all his suck-ups, they all went to private school. That should tell you a lot. At least now we've got a cabinet filled with state school kids. Thank God. I mean, it's not perfect. Jesus Christ. I'm going to come on to that in the second half of the show. But, like night and fucking day, mate. Like night and day. But yeah, now we've got the Democrats over in America. Chuck Schumer. Hello, I'm Chuck Schumer. What are you doing, Chuck Schumer? I'm playing the long game. Choo, choo, choo. What a fucking dickhead. Hey, Chuck. Hey, fuck. Fuck Schumer. That's what I'm going to call you from now on. Are you a fucking chucklehead? Are you a fucking idiot, mate? Did your brain drop out your fucking ear? What the fuck? Oh, we're playing a long game. We'll go along with the Republicans. And then at the last minute we'll pop out and go, surprise, we weren't backing you all along. Yeah, how did that turn out for the last leader of Labour? What was it? What was that? Brexit went ahead and they got the worst election drubbing for, what, 50, 70, 80 years? Oh, okay. That doesn't sound so good. That sounds fucking devastating. What else happened? Oh, Boris Johnson was made president, prime minister of our country. Made prime minister of our country, yeah. And then we had a pandemic. 250,000 people fucking died unnecessarily because we had dickheads in charge of our country. There was a moment in 2019 where there was being mooted having a government of national unity. And the then leader of the Labour Party kicked it out because he said if there was going to be a government of national unity, he had to lead it. Anyway, here's a super chat from Umka. Thank you very much for the €10, even better. Yeah, we love euros here on this show. Thank you very much. Russia's power is in its readiness to destroy stuff in the pursuit of greatness. Greatness for Russians is everyone is afraid of them and they can do anything and take everything. I agree, Umka, and that's why we need to laugh at them. That's why we need to go. We need to tell everyone who will listen that they are a paper tiger, or in their case, a paper bear. Like, they've got no power. They had no power over us. Alistair, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Some money to keep ranting, Graham, and this is just if it gets demonetized. Bravo. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Alistair. That's very kind of you. Okay, well, on that note, we will jump into the chat. I was going to go off on one about the Democrats in America, but obviously you've heard that before. But yeah. Mark says, Graham, imagine the MAGA twats rage when they realise all of their cars have transmissions. Yes, indeed. Don Lemon said they'll also repress homosexuality and you fill in the blanks. Yes, indeed. Anne Phillips, it's quite depressing how many apparently decent people seem to have gone for the MAGA religion. Makes you wonder if there's something in the air. Lead, Anne. Lead was in the air. Lead is in the air in the 20th century. In every breath that people took, on every street, in every town, in every city, in every country in the fucking world, until like 1997, the air was thick with lead because it was coming out the exhaust fumes of cars and people were breathing it in. There was also lead in the pipes. There was leads in children's, the paint they use for children's cots. They put lead in everything. And lead, once it's in your body, you can't get rid of it. It stays there for life and causes cognitive decline. Lead by donkeys. Anyway, rough superpower and sending Bond 007. Oh no, Amazon has got him. Oh yeah, indeed. EU, definitely a superpower if it can keep together. Difficult 28 countries having one voice though, but this perversely is helping. Billy says, I'm still thinking we could buy off frontline troops with money and a passport. I do as well. And Phillips, I'm coming to the conclusion that money is poison. Perhaps I should be grateful for not having very much of it. Yeah, Anne. Sometimes I'm quite grateful in a weird way that I don't know who I would have turned into if I'd actually made it in life and had loads of money and had my own house and shit. Maybe I would have turned into a trans-hating dickhead as well. I doubt it because I had trans friends before it was cool to have trans friends. But still, I mean, fuck. The discrimination on display right now from the left and the right against people who are just trying to live their lives is so disgusting. It's so disgusting and needs calling out at every opportunity. The tyranny of Mumsnet. Fucking Mumsnet. And a pell-clutching Karen gobshites going, oh, like, well, my child might turn out to be gay. Oh, I'd be so disappointed. No grandchildren. Well, what if your child, you know, couldn't have kids? Would you be just as disappointed in them? Yeah, would you? Oh, well, that's nice. You seem like a nice person. Well, your kid's funeral going, oh, you know, I'm not sad. I'm just disappointed because I won't have any grandkids now. Some people. Katrina Tam, thank you very much for the £10, Katrina Tam. That's very nice of you. Hi, Graham. Not sure if you already know this, but others have mentioned in the chat already Russia are now using donkeys and horses to try and move equipment and soldiers. Yes, Katrina, I think that Ollie made this point last night on Geoscope. He said it was the last cavalry charge since before this one. Was at the beginning, I think, of World War II, when the soldiers in Poland, I think, were still mounted on horseback against the Blitzkrieg tanks, the tanks of the Nazi regime. Joanna says, yeah, a lot of studies linked leaded fuel to an average IQ drop of, I think, 2 points in most developed nations for people born during that period. I'm not kidding. You say there's something in the air. Yeah, it was lead. Now there's plastic. Apparently, for most of us now, 0.5%, which is quite a lot actually, of our brain is now plastic. Because of all the plastic we ingest every fucking day. Microplastics. All kinds of plastics. We're living in the plastic age. And it's not fantastic. Pete's music. And I retired at 59, not rich, just didn't want my last years in the yoke. And Warren says, if little Donnie was a D&D character, he would be chaotic, inept. Sarah, oh, thank you, Sarah. Thank you for all you do and the support. You're so welcome, Sarah. And look, I'm really sorry that things are shit at the moment. And if I can do stuff to help them feel a little less shit, then awesome. If that means not watching some of these shows where you know I'm going to be talking about Trump and it's just going to wind you up, please, you know, but you have my permission not to watch. I'm not, you know, you don't feel obliged. But We've got Prime Minister's questions today at 12, and then I'm going to be back at 6 o'clock tonight with the lovely Rachel, and we're going to be doing another episode of The Rabbit Hole, and we're just going to be talking bollocks. We're just going to be talking absolute bollocks about shit that's going on. Not necessarily in the news, but, you know, movies that are coming out, music, and old retro video games, and just whatever the fuck we want to talk about. We're just going to have a nice little natter. So if you want to join us for The Rabbit Hole at 6 o'clock this evening, you are very, very welcome to do so. Nick says, give it time. I think Barron Trump will keep MAGA going, arguably more dangerous as he's actually educated, unlike the rest of the family. Yeah, but Nick and Diffie's completely uncharismatic. And this is the thing with Elon Musk and JD Vance and anyone else who's jockeying for position to take Trump's place, Marco Rubio even. They're not charismatic. They can't carry through the shit that Trump can carry through. Trump has been, he's done a deal with the devil, literally, Putin, which... We've talked about this before, right? So there's the movie American Psycho, and if you've not seen it, it involves this guy called Patrick Bateman, who is a rich nepo baby psychopath who works in New York doing something with finance, and he's a multi-millionaire. He's got a beautiful apartment and, you know, the most expensive part of Manhattan, and he keeps murdering people, usually women, because he's a misogynistic prick, but sometimes he kills men as well. And someone keeps cleaning up after him. By the end of the movie, sorry, spoilers, you're left a little bit ambiguous. It's left ambiguous as to whether all these murders are just in his head or whether someone is cleaning up on his behalf. And I think it's the latter. I think someone is cleaning up on his behalf. And Bret Easton Ellis, when he's writing the book, American Psycho, obviously thought of this and thought, what if there was someone who was so rich, so powerful, so much of daddy's money, they could literally kill someone on Fifth Avenue and someone else would clean it up and say, no, that never happened. And that's exactly the America we're living in now. We're living in the world of fat American Psycho. And unlike the American Psycho in the movie, this one's actually played by a fucking American. Because, you know, the American Psycho in American Psycho is played by a Brit. Because obviously, I mean, you know, he's a villain. He's got to be played by a Brit, even though he's American. And it's called American Psycho. I said this, you know, yesterday. America, the country that couldn't find an American to be 330 million Americans to go up against Trump and actually make a decent argument, make a decent fist of it. The Democrats are really fucking up. They couldn't find an American Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, or American Psycho. But, you know, I digress. The Democrats, right? They are down at their lowest ever opinion rating, I think, since the dawn of the Democrat Party. Their approval rating is so low right now. I think it's 27%. 27%! Meanwhile, Trump's is 48%. And Chuck Schumer is sitting there going, well, we're going to wait for his approval to go down to 40%. And then we're going to strike. We're going to do the long game at that point. Oh, it's going to be so exciting. And I'm just looking at it going, what? No, you can't wait for Trump to become... Stop doing this fucking thing that the people on the left do all the time. The results will speak for themselves. Labour do this. Labour under the last leader did it. They're doing under this leader. The results will speak for themselves. They thought that during the Brexit wars, it was often said to me that Brexit would be so bad that people would turn against it. You know, oh, well, if it goes ahead, we'll be back in the EU in a few years' time because people turn it. They don't. Newsflash, they don't. It takes so much to change a single person's mind. Look, I've said this before, and I'm sorry, Colin, for repeating myself, but if you have a friend who is in love with someone and they're a fucking wrong 'un, good luck explaining that to them. Good luck getting them on side of what you think of their partner. Because you can take them to the pub. You can get around in. You can sit them down. You can have a bit of a laugh and a joke about, you know, all the things you got up to. Blah, 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 blah in school. When it comes down to it, if you say your partner is a psycho, right? Your partner's no good. They're a narcissist. They're horrible to you. They treat everyone like shit. They're only in it for themselves. They're in it for your money. Blah, 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 blah. Does that person say, oh, thanks, Graham. Thanks for pointing that out to me. Oh, yeah, I'll reassess my priorities. No. They pick up the pint that I've bought them and they throw it in my face because they don't want to fucking hear it. And you know that happens. I know that happens. And maybe years down the line, You might go back to that same pub with that same friend who's now penniless, has been taken for every penny. She's taken the kids, or he's taken the kids. And they'll say, oh, I'm so sorry for throwing that pint in your face, Graham. But by then it's too late. They've lost everything. That's trying to change the mind of one person who is emotionally invested in something. This isn't changing the mind of someone who thinks that there's some kind of scientific thing that goes one way, but then the evidence starts pointing another way. No. This is something that people are emotionally invested in. Whether it is Brexit, whether it's the previous leader of Labour, whether it is Donald Trump. People emotionally invest in these people or things, objects of desire. And once that happens, once that emotional connection is made, it is fucking so hard to break it. You are seeing interviews right now of Americans who have lost their fucking jobs and are still like, oh, I love Trump. I just love him. He's the best. But you've lost your job. Yeah, I know. But you've got nothing left now. You've lost your house. Your family's left you. You're living on a park bench under a bit of newspaper. Yeah, but, Donald Trump, though, he loves me. So you're going to change the mind of, what is it? Millions of Americans, Chuck? You're going to let the results speak for themselves? You fucking chuckle fuck. Chuckle fuck Schumer. That's what we should call him from now on, eh? Good old chuckle fuck. What's chuckle fuck got to say today? This is the leader of the Democrats in the Senate. What are you going to do, chuckle fuck? Oh, I'm gonna support the Republicans, and hope that it becomes self-evident that they're really messed up. Okay, chuckle fuck. Do you think that's going to happen soon? Oh, I don't know. I don't care. I've given up caring. Clearly. I think AOC has put in a motion to get rid of him. It probably won't work, but God, I hope it does. Anyway, back into the chat. Without Graham, Ollie, Supertan, Max, Phil Morehouse, and others, we would only have the news the right wants us to hear, and I'm grateful to them all and everyone here in the chat. Oh, thank you, Sarah. And Ollie, Supertan, Max, and Phil. The thing is, it's not just like we are trying to tell the truth and trying to, engender a community of people here online who think differently to the mainstream media bias that's out there. But also, they're really lovely people. Like, I've met them all in real life, and they're just lovely. It's not even like there's been a lot of political people that I've met in the past who were like well into their politics. Maybe they're part of a party or something, or an elected leader, and there's always a little bit of standoffishness about them. Do you know what I mean? They're not. Oh, they're not. I don't want to say this about everyone I know in politics, but like a lot of them, there's how can I put this? There's a little bit of bonhomie that isn't there. Is that the right way to put it? I don't know. Just a little bit of being able to kick back and relax and have a laugh, and the people who make the content, the people we link to on this channel, and people who have their own channels and stuff. They're lovely people. They're just really lovely people. And they're driven, not by money, because fuck me, if we wanted money, we'd be on the other side. We're driven by this passion to get the message out about what's happening in the world right now and what we should take away from it, because we are every day inundated by the opinions of rich, privately educated toffs who think they know best about everything. And I'm going to tell you now, I don't know best about everything. I make mistakes. I make mistakes. You correct me in the fucking chat. Yesterday, get this, right? I said that the half-life of uranium-235 was 4.5 billion years. I'm such a dickhead. That's only 700 million years. It was the half-life of U-258. No, 238. 238. See, I got it wrong again. It wasn't 235. It was 238. Come on, people. I don't know why you bother watching this fucking channel. I don't even know me isotopes of uranium. Anyway, moving on. Jane Lockwood said there's new groups speaking up who voted for Trump and saying they want him gone because of Elon. Well, yeah, Elon's being fanned up. He's the sacrificial goat. He's the fanned calf. He's gonna be shunted out, isn't he, to the masses? Here you go. They'll say, give us bread, and he'll say, no, let them eat Elon. they'll push Elon out into the crowd of people outside the White House who fucking hate him. And he might get Ceausescu'd. He might get Mussolini'd, in which case I'll look up and wave like this. Or he might get Gaddafi'd. Who knows? But I can guarantee that guy's career is not going to end well. He has destroyed the lives of millions of people. I don't think he thinks he's a smart man. But if you're smart, you don't go around destroying the lives of millions of people. In fact, I'll go so far as to say is in any given situation, the person who is the smartest in the room is always the most empathetic, the most caring, the person who actually gives a shit more than anybody else is totally. This is just an absolute. If you have a room full of people, the most empathetic person in that room will also be the most knowledgeable. They just will, because they'll seek out that knowledge. They will because they care. They actually care about the planet. They care about other people. They care about the world, the country they live in, their neighbors, their friends, their family. They care. You care. You're watching this. Statistically, the IQ of the people watching this is higher than the IQ of the people watching Joe fucking Rogan, who apparently is a comedian, and I'm still surprised by this. Someone said, "Oh yeah, we used to do a comedy show on some channel." I'm like, comedy? I've never heard him tell a joke. All he does is whine and go, "Oh, I think dragons are real." And I think that's where I sort of really see a huge gulf of difference between those of us on the left and centre left who care about the planet, care about the future, care about the environment, and these other side of the dickhead side of it or whatever. It's not just empathy. Yeah, we just seem to care more, but also, I mean, we just seem like more intelligent basically across the board. Whereas the other side, I mean, Elon Musk must be a real dickhead to think that he can upset that many people to the point where they lose everything. They lose their child's life. You know, if you're getting treated for if your child is getting treated because your child is HIV positive, and Elon Musk takes that away, he wants to be the face of the bureaucracy that takes that away. I mean, there's a reason why in Soviet Russia and in Darkness at Noon, the book, and in 1984, there's either it's a faceless bureaucrat, or the face isn't real. You know, Big Brother is just a made-up person. It's not a real, actual flesh and blood person, right? There's a reason for that. Because if your life is destroyed by a faceless bureaucrat, you've got no target. But if you are an African dad living in South Africa with a daughter who is HIV positive through no fault of her own, right? And the medicine stops and your daughter dies, you have a target now. The target is called Elon Musk. And maybe one day, maybe not tomorrow, but soon, and for the rest of your life, maybe at some point, that guy will go over to America. Or even better, maybe Elon Musk will go back to South Africa for some reason. He needs to go and collect his father's things after his dad carks it. And you've got a father there who's lost everything. All he had was his daughter, and Elon Musk took that away from him. What do you think he's going to do if he got his hands on Elon Musk? And that's just one person who's lost everything because of that man who wanted his face to be the face of the man who the face of the bureaucracy that destroyed US aid. He wanted to be the face of that. He bragged about being the face of that. I mean, you know, when you commit a murder, you really shouldn't film yourself doing it and put it on social media. I'm just saying that if you were going to just do something as horrific as that and you wanted to get away with it, putting yourself on social media, not the best way to go about it. Just not the best way to go about getting away with that, because people are going to know it was you who did it. They're going to blame you for that murder. And you get done for it a lot quicker than you would have done if you hadn't fucking filmed it, you stupid fucking bastard. But that's how stupid Elon Musk is. That's how stupid Trump is. No emotional intelligence whatsoever. All they know is greed. the lust for greed and power, and that shall be their undoing. Because once you leave enough people with nothing left to live for, what have they got to lose? What have they got to lose by trying, eh? Ivan Ambrose, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Woo! Badenoch will make another blunder of herself later today. Yes, Ivan, she will. Like I said, I was gonna stop a load of this politics stuff after Labour won the election last year, and after I thought, I hope that Kamala Harris would win, but she didn't. But I thought if she wins and Labour are in, why would I do all these programs? I was going to retire stateside because it'd be boring. There'd be nothing to talk about. It'd just be shuffling papers around Congress. Why would I might do Geoscope once a week with Ollie, and I'll do the agenda once a week with Phil, but it wouldn't be daily 1 hour shows every morning talking about, like, this is supposed to be about a range of things that have happened in the news, and we end up always seem to be talking about like one thing. That's how many things are happening right now and how sort of detailed they are, I guess, that we can flesh these out so much, but or pad them out, depending on your preference. I don't know. Fleshing out good, padding out bad. Filler episode, bottle episode. One of those two-parters of Star Trek that just seem to just stop in the middle of them for no reason other than padding out the runtime. Anyway, at 12 o'clock today, we've got PMQs. Kemi Badenoch, if she was competent, if it was Ed Davey, if Ed Davey was the leader of the Lib Dems, sorry, he is the leader. If he was the leader of the opposition, I should say. Oh, mate, I wouldn't even fucking do it. I wouldn't bother doing PMQs because what would be the point? It would just be, you report on it afterwards or talk about it in the show the next day or in the evening. But I wouldn't do a live commentary. But with Kemi Badenoch, oh my God, she's so bad at it. It's hilarious. It's fucking entertainment. Just get the popcorn out, kids. This is fun. Anyway, Ivan, thank you very much for the super chat. You're very kind. Oh, and Eurosh has just dropped a super chat in. Another super chat. 20 euros this time. Thank you so much, Eurosh. I really don't get Musk. They say it's drugs. They say it's megalomania. I think he's just so bored that he decided to troll the whole world. Yeah. Boredom is a killer. Boredom is an absolute killer. Famous last words, Graham, says Purity Vendetta. 2040 remake of Downfall with Trump played by Robert Pattinson. I don't know. That could work. Anne says, the incredible thing is how the Tories managed to spend such huge amounts on benefits while still depriving so many people in need. Well, yeah, they did, because they just put layers and layers of bureaucracy in, jobs for the boys. They made sure their mates got paid for all kinds of shit. Labour need to look into the care industry, the fact that if you get older, loads of people are losing their homes and giving them up to private care homes because the state care homes are fucked, and if they give up their homes to go into a care home, sometimes it's against their will. They don't even want to do that, but they're forced into this situation. They've got nothing to bequeath their children or grandchildren. Meanwhile, millionaires who own vast swathes of land that they only bought in order to avoid inheritance tax are whinging so much now about having to pay inheritance tax on their absolute massive fortune when they pass it to the next generation. We've got millions of people in this country who have got worked all their lives, bought a house, did everything right, and then they get old, and instead of getting cancer, they get dementia, and that's it. They lose everything. There's nothing else to give to people, and it's an absolute fucking scam. Care homes are a scam, and Labour need to look into it because it is such a waste of public money, and it's such a waste of our private funds as well. We need to have state-run nursing homes for people with dementia and other ailments. As we get old, there needs to be dignity in aging, and the people who need that support should be given that support, and it shouldn't be fucking means tested. This is the mad thing. It kind of is means tested in a weird way, that if you have a house, you lose it. If you don't have a house, well, you don't lose anything. So if you're canny, you give your house to your children 7 years before you get into that situation, and then there's no inheritance tax to pay. The company can't take it off you. The nursing home can't take it off you. Umka, thank you very much for the €5 super chat. We're getting lots of euros today. I'm enjoying all the euros. Thank you for my European friends. Many people who voted for Trump or the far right call themselves libertarians, but somehow they deny freedoms for all whom they don't like. Yeah, libertarians. I first came across this term not when I studied A-level politics, which I got an A in, by the way. I should mention that because James O'Brien always mentions that he got an A in A-level politics. Well, So did I, baby. And I didn't go to a posh private school, James. Anyway, I didn't. It wasn't until I went to university and I met people who were libertarians in the debating society, because they're all posh, privately educated types who had been taught to debate in school and taught to publicly speak and do all the stuff that us staties are denied. Like, we're not taught to do that in our statey schools, generally speaking, whereas everyone who goes to a posh private school is taught to speak publicly, to debate, to do rhetoric and undermine people's arguments by picking on a tiny error that they've made and saying, well, because you made this tiny error, we can safely dismiss everything that this person says. And it was a wild ride, because I was like, because at the time libertarianism was still quite a fringe idea, like this idea of we should have freedom to do whatever we want, including abortion, euthanasia, getting a tattoo, being gay, being trans, whatever. You should have freedom to do all that stuff, which I agree with. But at the same time, it was also freedom not to pay tax. And it seemed to me like anarchy for rich people, because rich people who could afford healthcare for themselves, rich people who could afford their own security. So they don't need the police. They don't need the fire brigade. They don't need the NHS. And because they don't need these things, they don't think that anyone should have them. And they don't like paying tax. It was a whole thing. And it was interesting because at that time was when, this is the late 90s. So South Park was, getting really popular. And it became quite obvious quite early on that Matt Parker and Trey Stone, or Trey Stone and Matt Parker, one of the two, were both libertarians. And there was a show that was on Showtime in America called Penn and Teller's Bullshit, which is just some really, really good stuff. I'm sure you've probably seen the clip of them talking about vaccines and the bowling these balls and knocking down all these Skittles, and one of them has a shield in front of it because it's been vaccinated and the other one doesn't, and he's knocking down the Skittles, measles, mumps, rubella, yellow fever, dengue fever, Japanese encephalitis, everything, all these different diseases that are communicable that have been wiped out by vaccines. Well, not all of them, obviously, because some people are going to get vaccinated. But it became really clear after watching just a few episodes of their show called Bullshit that they were being paid by the Koch Institute in America, the Koch brothers, to funnel people into that mindset of libertarianism, of the government making you pay taxes bullshit. So they'll do an episode on why they never did an episode on Scientology, interestingly enough, but never mind. They did an episode on why anti-vaxxers are deluded bullshitters. But then the next episode would be like why the environmental movement is bullshit, and you're sitting there going, okay, why are you doing are you doing this? What's going on here, Penn and Teller? And it became quite clear, that Penn Jillette is a massive libertarian. He's a very, very rich man who thinks that everyone should just take care of themselves, I guess. Yeah, so libertarianism never struck a chord with me, and I always saw it as people who in any other life would be a warlord in Mogadishu, but they were always like weedy kids. They wouldn't be the warlord. They'll be the warlord's lackey or their, fluffer or something. They wouldn't be in charge in the community in which they would like to build. And they want to run a lottery system where if you've got rich parents, you do really well in society. And if you don't, you don't. What society do we live in at the moment? That system, that very system that those libertarians wanted. And don't forget, in the 20th century, things were getting better. Every prime minister from, what was it, Callahan? No, even before then, Wilson to Major, the end of Major's tenure. So that's the 1960s to the end of the 90s. Every single prime minister we had was state educated. And then since 1997, almost every single prime minister we've had has been privately educated in some way. Like Starmer, he went to a state school, but it became private while he was there. Gordon Brown was a statey, and Liz Truss of 44 days, she went to a state school as well. So apart from that, all of them went to private school. Two of them went to Eton in quick succession. Ivan, thank you very much. It should be also it should also be state-run for carers for disabled people who are not elderly, like me, who needs carers to come to their homes. Absolutely, Ivan. I couldn't agree more. In a way that, I understand what it's like for people who are having to pay for carers to come 4 times a day for their relative who's dying of dementia, but they're not dying fast enough. So the state doesn't pay for that unless you're actually terminal. You have to pay for it. And it's thousands and thousands of pounds a month. Like, you will lose your house so fast it'll make your head spin in that situation. Or you can go into home and that'll cost you just as much, if not more. Super chat here from Umka. Thank you very much. I keep all episodes of Penn and Teller's bullshit. Says Umka. There were some really, really good episodes, like really excellent episodes, well put together. But whenever they interviewed someone, check out where where this expert is talking from, and it's almost always from the Koch Institute, which is the Koch brothers, who are mad right-wing libertarians. This weird amalgam of free market, free trade, freedom of expression, free speech. But when it comes down to it, they just want their flavor of free speech, and they don't want anyone else's. They want their flavor of free expression, and they want to stop and shut up anyone else. The marketplace of free ideas that Twitter was promised, that Elon Musk promised with his Twitter platform when he bought it, it's laughable now. It's absolutely laughable that he is going around taking people's Twitter accounts away from them for criticizing Trump or criticizing Elon Musk, even if they don't do it on Twitter. Like, even if they just use Twitter to read other people's tweets and don't really tweet anything themselves, if they've gone on a TV show and said Elon Musk, I don't know what's going on there, eh? He's deactivating their Twitter accounts. That's how much he loves free speech. Anyway, right, the Crotch brothers, indeed. Timberwolf Games, it's not strategically irrelevant because Ukraine are destroying the Russian oil industry with great success, which is good news. The Serendipity Journey, just watched a program about the 1974 political coup when the military took over Heathrow Airport without the PM Wilson's knowledge. The far right has never gone away. No, it won't. You're right. Joanna says, I think libertarianism accepts a small government control and anarchism accepts no government control. Otherwise, pretty much the same thing. Yeah, ruled by oligarchs or strongmen. Pendulette is a libertarian, but he has a sense to vote for Harris. The show was proto-pipeline, though. Liz, that's what I was going to mention. Bullshit felt to me, in hindsight, I guess, which is always 2020, the same sort of show that you get on YouTube now, which is a pipeline show like The Critical Drinker, where you'll start watching it because it's funny and he's slagging off films, but then you quickly realize that actually this guy's a misogynist and he's spouting some right-wing views. There was a guy who used to do really good anti-religious videos online. He did YouTube videos where he just spoke to the camera for 10 minutes. Pat Condell, I think his name was, years ago. It's like 15 years ago or something. And he turned out to be a massive fucking UKipper, a massive Brexiteer. He wasn't just being anti-Islam because of the problems in the religion of Islam. He's just a fucking racist, to be honest with you, I think, by the looks of things. And these YouTubers, and this has gone back to the dawn of YouTube in 2006. They'll hook you in and they'll go, oh look, here's some opinions that you agree with, and you're like, oh, I agree with those opinions. Cool, give me some more of this. It's quite funny. And then they'll just turn around and go, well, actually, here's what I really think. And you're like, oh, fuck me, I've got to get out of here. Escape. Unsubscribe. Who exactly are the Koch brothers, and how can you have a right-wing libertarian? Skleepshin. The Koch brothers, there's only one now, so it's a Koch brother. It's spelled K-O-C-H. So I don't know if it's Koch, pronounced Koch, but I'm going to say Koch. I'll just say Koch. So it's K-O-C-H brothers. Look them up. And the libertarianism is very, very right-wing. It always has been. It's never been left-wing. It's always been anti-helping anyone who's not me. Always been anti-benefits, always been anti-socialism. It stands against socialism. It stands against the idea that the government should intervene and stop the free market and rein it in now and again when monopolies take take control, when we have a monopoly over our water and we have no choice but to pay more money to fix the problems that they created, even though they borrowed shitloads of money. We're paying off their debt for some stupid fucking reason. All that stuff. Like it's very, very right wing. It's a branch of the right wing, because a lot of right wing it's supposed to be it is totalitarian, where they want to dictate who you can have sex with, how you can have sex with them, what time you should have sex with, what sexual positions you can use. Whereas the libertarians would say no, you can do whatever you like as long as it's not illegal, and everything should be legal. Usually you get someone who's a libertarian, they're usually a gun nut at the same time, so it's not a very left wing philosophy by any stretch of the imagination. Right, I'm going to quickly go over to the papers very quickly because it's 10 o'clock now. It's 10 o'clock. We've got benefits, overhaul, anger, worried, sick, fear and uncertainty for the vulnerable, but number 10 defends sweeping changes. This is talking about Liz Kendall yesterday announcing changes to changing the way that benefits are being paid. And I think that's a fair enough headline. Worried sick. Worried people are worried sick because of what Labour, the way they've put it across. We complained endlessly on this show, on this channel, and on other channels as well, about the fact that Labour weren't being clear. Tansky's done a really good video about that yesterday, which I really suggest you check out. But I mean, like, seriously, just this has really pissed me off, because we were talking about how bad the comms were leading up to this, and now that's been announced, to announce it and hold stuff back so people don't know if they're going to get if they're going to be cut or they're not, or whatever. What are the numbers going to look like, Liz? We're not being told for another week because we've got to wait for an OBR assessment, and then we've got to wait for the spring break budget, whatever they call it. I mean, fuck, like, what are they doing? They're just upsetting people left, right, and centre. They need to fucking sort that out. Ivan, thank you very much. Graham, I need to let you know that I did send you a WhatsApp message with my autism petition. If you can share and promote this further, I will be forever grateful. Okay, cool. I will look for that now. Sorry, I'm really terrible at getting back to people on the shit. Here we go. This is Ivan's petition, or Ivan supporting this petition. And there's the link there. Ensure the needs of autistic people are met in any future pandemic response. Do you know what? That's not going to be... Is that link clickable? Can I click on that link? Can I? Yes, it works. Okay, cool. If we can get a few more signatures on that, that would be wonderful. So thank you very much, Ivan, for the super chat and for bringing that to my attention. That link does actually work, even though there should be a space between response and the HTTPS. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kong dollars. US now deporting immigrants who are legal on green cards. Islamophobia and its brother Sinophobia is truly alive and well in the US. You're absolutely right, mate. You are absolutely 100% on the knocker. Right. Can't argue with you at all. Yes. And it's really shit. Because, bigotry begets bigotry. You become a bigot about one thing, it makes it a lot easier to be a bigot about fucking everything. Oh dear, how sad. Never mind. Sorry, I'm looking at Trump's. I was looking at the burning images of Teslas burning. The Times here. So cheek how M&S pulled it off again. Well, cool. Did they pull it off? Oh, that's very nice of them. They didn't pull mine off. Putin keeps ceasefire hopes on a knife edge. Not going to do it. Liz Kendall there, the Work and Pension Secretary, leaving Downing Street yesterday after the Cabinet in a meeting to discuss the government's £5 billion worth of welfare cuts. Benefit traps has weakened terrible costs, has wreaked terrible costs, says Starmer. So there is an argument to be made here, and I want to make this very clear. Like, I do agree with giving people support to get back into work. One of the best things that's come out of this thing yesterday, probably the only really great thing to come out of it, is this right to try, where the government is going to allow people to try a job and not take away all their support in the meantime, which is one of the reasons that a lot of people don't go into work, because they know that they'll lose all their benefits. They might get paid less than they would otherwise get paid. When the spring statement comes out at the end of the month, I really do want to see Rachel Reeves say to companies they have to pay a living wage, because if you want to make billions in savings, we need to stop having to top up the wages of people who are already working. The state shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. The taxpayer should not be paying extra money to companies that are making millions, if not billions, of profit every year, and yet not paying their staff enough. So Tesco staff who are not being paid enough, and we're topping up their money. Meanwhile, Tesco is making over £2 billion worth of profit a year. How is that fair? How is that right? Not turnover, profit. That's something that I would like to see in the budget. Let's hope that happens. People are signing Ivan's petition, so that's really cool. Thank you, Unquiet Badger and SC, and also Witchy Goth, and Martin Harrow for signing it, and Katrina Tam as well. Paul Ewan saying signing it now, and Mr. Tisk 27 is saying will sign. Okay, so we'll move on. Is that it? Exclamation mark on the front cover of the Mail, because they don't know what a question mark. Where a question mark should go. That's a question. It should have a question mark after it. There's a woman. That 6 must-buys from M&S. Bloody hell, has M&S spent a lot of money on the tabloids today? Andrew Neil says, Labour's blown a once-in-a-generation chance to slash Britain's bloated welfare bill. Well, good. If it's upset Andrew Neil, then it's probably a good thing. Team plotted the biggest gun massacre of the century. Triple killer targeted primary school. The teenager who wanted to be the most famous killer in history shot dead his family and then set out to carry a gun attack at his old primary school. Exploited a terrifying loophole in gun laws to buy a shotgun and 100 cartridges using fake firearms license that he made himself. Jesus Christ. It's horrific. Gwyneth Paltrow there, looking all sultry on the front cover of the Express. Because sex sells, everyone. Sex and war. Sex and war. War at the top here, the War Prince William. And then there's another war thing here. A VE Day coach. So war, sex. War, sex. Sex, war. God, men are so fucking easily fucking led, aren't they? PM, Ukraine must have a just and lasting peace. Putin agrees to partial ceasefire after historic Trump call. Okay, Daily Express, whatever you say. Daily Express hasn't taken its medication today, clearly. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah, Trump's going to bring peace. Dickheads. Putin rejects Trump's ceasefire. That's a more truthful headline from the Daily Telegraph. And then we've got Davina McCall, privately educated, of course, saying, my daily tips to boost your health. That's nice. And Alison Pearson saying, Britain must take its bitter medicine. I hate her. Brett Badenoch, privately educated, of course. Farage, privately educated, of course, is a reality TV star. He's not fit to run your life. And GCSE exams to be scaled back because pupils are too stressed. And this is going back to the whole stupid paternal bullshit. You know, the next generation is so soft. We need to make men of them. They're all stressed out. Oh, fuck off. Young people gave up so much to help during the pandemic. They were off school. You know, they spent a year off university, a university course that they fucking paid us a fuckload of money for that they're going to be paying off for years to come. They gave up so much to protect older people. Because you know who died mostly from COVID? Older people. Not everyone who died of COVID was old. Some people were young who died of COVID, but the vast majority, people who died of COVID, were old. And to protect them, young people said, no, we won't go out, we won't mingle, we'll stay locked down, we'll do what we're told. Meanwhile, the rich, privately educated motherfuckers like Lawrence Fox said, yeah, I'm staying in my house, I'm going to go to the pub, I'm not going to wear a mask. Wankers. Generation Z gets benefit cut for anxiety and depression. Liz Kendall announces sweeping cut to disability and welfare payments in a bid to save $5 billion. The reason why they're saying Generation Z or Generation Z there is because this is going to come in for new people coming online to get these benefits. Now, if you're already on the benefits, from what I understand, they're not going to be frozen. They're going to keep going up at the rate of inflation. In fact, they're going to go up faster than the rate of inflation for people who are already on the benefits. That's not going to be taken away. There's going to be more incentive to work for those people. But in 2026, so in 2 years' time, if you are coming online into the workplace and you suffer from stress and you're off work, you will get less money now than you would have done if you had come online now, today, or next year. So that's why it's saying Generation Z will be targeted, which they will be. And this is disgusting and disgraceful, and it's sad. I don't know what else they could do, though. I don't want to defend it to the hilt because, I don't agree with it. I think that we should be helping people as much as humanly possible. And I don't think that cutting benefits is a way to help people. I think giving people incentives to work and giving people the right to try and things like that are really, really important. Putting reasonable adjustments into place so disabled people can go into the workplace and work at a job where they feel productive and useful, and they feel like they're making a difference. That would be great. But at the moment, we live in a society where reasonable adjustments are not made. Companies are not properly compensated when they make reasonable adjustments. So it's not really in their interest. There's no law really pushing for reasonable adjustments to be made. Like, I think it's completely unreasonable, for instance, that they have so few subtitle screenings of films, because my partner's deaf, and obviously this is a personal interest to me. I think it's disgusting they're allowed to get away with that. But what they do is they say, well, 1% of our films that we show are subtitled, and 1% of that 1% are shown on a Friday and Saturday night. So, we're doing the absolute bare fucking minimum we can to get people who are disabled, who are just deaf in particular, to be able to go to the cinema. The absolute bare minimum. But also, we've got the problem that all the best jobs, all the cool jobs, all the fun jobs, all the well-paying jobs are absolutely dominated, not by able-bodied people necessarily, but by the private school mafia. And we need to address that problem as well, because people, want to do a job they want to do. Find a job you like, and you'll never work a day in your life, as they say. And there's no reason now, with the way that the world has gone, that people can't do jobs that they enjoy and get pleasure out of and find edifying, find satisfying to do those jobs. And there needs to be more of a push towards that. There needs to be active, positive discrimination towards Stacey's, towards comprehensive kids getting into these top universities. Here in Durham, 38% privately educated. 38%. If you go out and you punch 3 students, one of them will be privately educated. I'm not saying that you should go out and punch students, but I'm just saying if you did. Anyway, back to the papers. We've got some sex for you. Arnie's hunky boy. Chip off the old block. So there's a Nepo baby there. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger's kid, who's in the show White Lotus. We've got Trump taking a liberty to give us our statue back. It's a hilarious story about the French demanding that they give the Statue of Liberty back, which I hope they do. Are forced into doing that because they don't deserve it anymore. Rebels force a back down on PIP crackdown. There's a lot of downs in that, isn't there? My benefit changes will get more disabled people in work, so fewer need to claim it. So that's that's the plan. Okay, and I do believe that's Labour's plan. The idea that it can save money, not necessarily by giving people less money, but by getting them into work. The less money thing kicks in a couple of years' time. So if you are on benefits at the moment, if you're on PIP, if you're on universal credit, please do not worry, because from what she said yesterday, you shouldn't feel any change in your circumstances as a result of these, as a result of this new initiative, which will be reported as cuts in newspapers and things like that, because they want to put the fear of God in people. There was a really, really irresponsible tweet, I think, yesterday from, I don't know, the Canary or something, saying disabled people are going to die screaming because of this. And I'm like, it's really unhelpful. That is really, really unhelpful. If you are already stressed out because of what you're reading in the news anyway, at the moment, you don't need that extra stress. So let me please just stress the fact that they're not going to take away, well, from what they say, they're not taking away benefits necessarily from people who are already receiving them, but there will be more incentives to get back into work, which is what I like. I like that idea. I don't want any stick. I want it to be all carrot. I want people to live their lives the way they want to live their lives. That's why I believe in universal basic income. God, that would be so liberating. Finally free. Gaza at war. Israeli strikes suggest a truce, says the Financial Times. Reeves to squeeze spending further next week despite $5 billion welfare cut. Spring statement to trim budgets. Benefit reform sparks dismay. Easing of financial rules rejected. Putin orders halt on Ukrainian energy, but raids, but resists Trump ceasefire call. Like I say. In conclusion, Putin played Trump like a cheap fiddle. Again. Anyway, so thanks very much for watching. I'll be back at 12. I've gone way over time. Every morning I get this anxiety that I'm going to run out of things to say. Like I'm going to go, oh shit, I've got nothing else to say now. Like at 9:30, I'll be like, shit, I'm run out of things to say now. I'm gonna have to pad this out with a story about something that happened to me in my life, or an amusing anecdote or something. I don't know what I'm gonna, but it never does. I seem to go over on it every single show. Even when I try not to, on a day when I've got 3 shows like today. So I'll be back at 12 o'clock with Prime Minister's Questions. Please join us for it. It's just a little show that we do every week when there's Prime Minister's Questions on. We don't get much out of it, but it makes watching Prime Minister's Questions time somewhat tolerable. If you want to watch it without a highly excitable Scouse ginger gobshite yapping away in the corner while people are asking questions, please just watch it on the BBC, okay? Just watch it on the BBC. Don't watch it on this channel. But if you want to join in the chat and talk about what's being said and make fun of Kemi Badenoch, because, oh my God, she's so bad at it, please join us at 12 o'clock for Prime Minister's Questions. Thank you so much to everyone who's been watching. Thank you so much for all your chat. We will talk about the spending bill, not the spending bill, the welfare bill, more after the show, after the Prime Minister's Questions is finished, because I'll stay on till 1 o'clock. Yeah, if you want to join us for that, we can talk about it more, because I know obviously people are talking about it in the chat here, and we need to get into this a bit more. But I do want to allay people's fears. It's not as bad as it's been made out in the media and by certain bad actors who want people who are already feeling stressed at the moment to stress out even more. Please don't stress. This is something that's not going to kick in for a couple of years, but what is going to kick in immediately, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, is these changes that are going to make it a lot easier for people who are on long-term disability to get work. And they've made it very clear that they're not going to cut disability benefits for people who are not ever going to be able to work. They're not going to have to go for reassessments every few years, like the situation is now, to see if people's legs have grown back or whether their cancer's gone away or their terminal cancer has gone away. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. Thanks to all of you. Thanks for all the chat. Thanks for the super chats. Really appreciate it. Just a couple of things before I go. If you'd like a rose after your name, you see Anne Phillips and Martin and Andrew there. I've got roses after their name. If you'd like one of those little roses after your name, all you need to do is press the join button if it's available, and you'll be able to do that. Also, you get your name at the end of the show when I update the credits. Maybe I should do that now. But in the meantime, thank you. Give us a like on the way out. We always like a like on this channel. It doesn't cost anything, and it really does help, because it allows this show and others to appear on other people's feeds. Your For You feed, if you like. Not that you have a For You feed on YouTube, but you know what I mean. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll just say all I have to say is I'll see you at 12 hopefully, and if not, I'll see you at 6 for the rabbit hole, where me and Rachel Harris will be just talking about any old shit, possibly avoiding the topic of politics altogether. We'll have to see. Okay, and until then, thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.